All right. So, do you want to just start by telling me a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I am currently in my last quarter of nursing school. I'm in an accelerated BSN program, and I'm just super excited to do nursing from my unique experience being a PCT during the pandemic. I've learned from being a PCT that this is my way of being able to just give the best parts of myself to my patients, and that's the kind of nurse that I strive to be in the future.
Okay. Great. I like it. I almost wish you would like say a little bit more about kind of like if someone was going to ask you like, well, why didn't you become like a doctor or like a social worker? Like why nursing? Is there any kind of
Okay.
like back history there that you could share?
Yeah, so I think for me, like coming out of undergrad, because this is my second degree, I realized I wasn't sure what I really wanted to do. I was always interested in how the body worked and I loved helping people. So I knew I wanted to do something healthcare related, but I wasn't sure what that was until I actually got my first job, like working in a hospital. And I realized that there's no other profession like nursing and healthcare that involves holistic care, like not even just taking care of your patient's physical needs, but also caring for their emotional needs. And I think that's what makes nursing very unique and why it's the kind of field that I want to go into.
If you'd like to please start off by just telling us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, of course. I'm from, but I moved here in the August of 2020 to pursue my nursing school journey. And up until this spring is when I graduated with my BSN and passed the NCLEX to get my RN. And I'm just so excited to start this start my nursing career here, and especially here at the prestigious where you guys are like the leader of medical innovation, research, and education, and I would just love to be a part of that.
Cool. I like it. So just like off the record, like why nursing? Like you could have like if you're into the medical stuff, you could have been a doctor. Like if you just want to help people, you could have been a social worker. Like why did you go for nursing?
So I just chose nursing because at first I didn't know like what I wanted to do, but I know for sure like I wanted to be in the medical field.
Okay.
So before nursing, I was in school for OT PT,
Okay.
and I did a volunteering internship with my university, and I found out quickly that I did not like doing like PT and OT stuff because it was just like not for me. I didn't really have the patience to do it for that. So that was one of the reasons why like I didn't do that. And then a lot of my friends were doing nursing at the time, and I was just like, okay, let's try this out. And then I realized that nurses do a lot more than like um, than 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 just like passing medications and stuff. They like also like are like there for emotional support, and then they also like are patient advocates, which I really do like that about nursing. And also just like more like the patient interaction as well, that's like really cool too.
Okay. So I think we can kind of work that in. So
Good.
could you please start off by just telling us a little bit about yourself and how you got into nursing?
Yeah, absolutely. So I just recently graduated nursing school in October and I took my NCLEX in the beginning of November. I got into nursing. I knew at a young age I wanted to work with hold on here. I've been practicing this too much, I feel like. Anyways, at a young age, I knew that I really wanted to work with people and just like helping people. I really loved being able to support people in like times of need or anything like that. But I also had a fascination for like the science, like anatomy and physiology. Um, and my family doesn't have a background in any kind of medical field or anything like that. So I didn't really have direction on where to go with my interests. So I really took it upon myself to like do research and be able to find the career that best suited me. And upon that research, I started off as a medical assistant. And I remember 2 days into medical assisting, I realized I was like, wow, this is it. This is what I want to do. But also as a medical assistant, I couldn't do a lot. And one of the things I really enjoy is being like an advocate for my patients. And I saw LVNs and nurses that I worked with able to do that. So I really wanted to be that person. And that's how I decided I wanted to do nursing.
So the first time you speak, you want them to connect with you, and sometimes that can be done with like oh, by the way, is this in person or Zoom? Okay. Because if it's in Zoom, you can like just a few smiles can go a long way in like if you can find a way to just like genuinely smile, that can help build a connection. Or if you tell them something about you that like genuinely kind of makes you expressive. Like what you said was good. There was just no like initial like thing that made you stand out. What about like this hospital? Like, is there something about this hospital that like you really like, or like?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I grew up going to that hospital. So I felt like if they were to like ask me like why this hospital, I'd kind of play
For like
into
a
that.
family member or something?
Huh? What was that?
For like a family member or?
No, just for myself. Just growing up, I was always going, I was either cracking my head open on the trampoline or doing something, but I was always going. So I don't know.
And so like based on the care you've received, you've been like drawn to that hospital maybe?
Yeah.
What was it about like the way they treat you there that you liked?
Well, definitely the nurses. I just remember the nurses being really helpful and just really being able to like talk to me and calm me down in like certain situations. And I really want to be that person for someone else.
Something really short that just shows like a connection to the hospital, maybe?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, just a little flavor. Like your answer wasn't bad at all, but just
Okay.
something to make it pop, you know?
I know. My whole thing is like I feel like I'm being interrogated for some weird reason. And I've had so many people tell me like it's a conversation. It's a conversation. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, it's easier said than done though, because
Yeah. And when you say panel, what does that mean? Does that mean like multiple people that you're interviewing like for the same like your competition is going to be there, or like
no,
managers
so
for
it's I think
different units or?
yeah, managers for different units. But it
Okay.
sounds like there's only 2 units. So I think it's probably 2 nurse managers from both of
Okay.
those units because there's 4 people that are going to be there.
4 people. Interesting. Okay, maybe like the unit director and like the assistant unit director or something like that.
Probably,
Mhm.
most likely. Sounds like it. Yeah.
Let's see, how would you say this? You would say like um in college, because it seems like you were kind of like, because I was kind of the same way. I was like kinesiology, thought I wanted to be a PT, and it was like this is just like body physics. Like I want to learn about like the organ systems and like make it a little more complicated. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially also like pathophysiology as well.
So you could say like in college, it started out by in college, you found yourself really drawn to the classes that um, talk about pathophysiology and how the organ systems work. And then you had friends who were in nursing, and when you learned about um, the parts that you said about like the advocacy and being an emotional support component of the care team, and I can't say it as well as you. Whatever you just said was perfect. So listen back to what you said, but like work in that, because you kind of lit up when you said that, and then tell them like once you found out there was a career that like could match the stuff that you really were curious about learning about and those pieces, you knew that nursing was definitely what you wanted to do.
And also I do also like the teamwork aspect of like nursing, like interacting with like the doctors, the respiratory therapists, speech pathologists, and that stuff. So that's like all like interesting
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, you should say that too.
Also, there's like so much room for like professional growth as well. Like the nursing field has so many different options of nursing that everyone could like nurses could like explore like different like areas, which is like really like insane to me. I'm just like, oh my god, there's so many things.
I wouldn't, yes, that's 100% true. I wouldn't say that to a hiring manager because they're gonna be like, oh
Yeah.
man, this guy's gonna leave in a year for like another.
Oh no, we don't want to do that. I think I'm just gonna stay for at least 2 years and then possibly go travel.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, there we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I can hear you. Perfect.
Okay. Are you ready?
Let's do this. I do. Yeah, I'm ready. Let's
Okay.
go for it.
So welcome. Thanks for coming to interview with us today. We're just going to start out with questions that we have for you, and then we're going to leave a little bit of time at the end for any questions that you may have for us. So if first, if you'd like to just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I'm actually in the process of finishing up my bachelor's degree online. I have been working as a RN in med-surg for the past year. 3 months of that have been working in the emergency department, where I learned a lot of valuable lessons in terms of triaging, titrations, being part of codes, and also just having better communication with staff, learning how to collaborate with the team members. So I found that very valuable information. Also, prior to that, I worked as an LVN for 3 years, where I challenged the board to get my LVN license. I worked in a SNF where I've learned great patient management, having to take care of 30 patients at a time. I transferred into the ED Express Care, where I was able to hone in on my skills of starting IVs and just perfecting that, and just having collaboration with the team. I thought it was really important to work together as a team. And so the reason why I'm applying for this position is because I just, having worked in med-surg, I love that critical thinking, that in-depth thinking where you're having to think on your feet. And I love the environment, taking care of up to 5 patients at a time, having the support of your team, I feel is very important. And just, being able to apply a lot of the skills and knowledge that I have obtained. I got interested in this position because I had a grandmother who was sick and she was in the hospital. She had cancer, and I just really valued and loved the way the nurses took care of her. And that kind of got my interest because my grandmother is my role model. And so that kind of started my drive into nursing. And so that's kind of where I'm at here. I just wanted to be able to provide that same type of care. And it's something that I would do over and over again.
Cool. So what I get from that is that you want to be challenged, you're up for a challenge, that you're strong, adaptable, and that you really do value working as a team, that like you're excited about that. Would you like to just start off by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I graduated. I originally wasn't even a nursing major. I started my college career as a film major. And then halfway through my freshman quarter, I kind of realized that I wanted a career that's more fulfilling, something that where I can make an impact in the world. And luckily, my mom and my brother are both nurses, so it kind of helped me transition my decision into doing something more fulfilling for me. The transition was pretty hard. I had to double up on a lot of like science classes, labs to catch up. But fortunately, it all worked out. I got into the program and I graduated, and it kind of just taught me that, you can do anything you want as long as you put your mind to it. And though it was difficult, it was definitely well worth it that I get to have a career now that I can enjoy doing.
Cool. I like it. It's like refreshing. It doesn't sound like too fake or pageanty or anything. The first thing that they usually ask is tell me about yourself. And kind of the way to think about this question is just kind of like, how did you get into nursing? Like what initially sparked your interest and like what really solidified that this is the right path for you. And then kind of like what, like if you've graduated, got your NCLEX, and then like what like clinical rotation led you to hope for like what kind of job type of thing is usually how people have the flow go.
That would have been good to include, and I'm bad at that question.
Yeah, because it's like, do you want to know that I have two cats and like I like to eat a lot of pasta and then fall asleep
Yeah.
after? Like, what do you want to know?
Yeah, so I was an LVN for 4 years and received my RN license back in July of last year of 2022. I actually got into nursing because my sister was a cancer patient when we were younger, and she was a patient at Children's Hospital. And I really admired the staff that helped take care of her, and I really wanted to be like them one day. So that's when I started pursuing the path of nursing. I've been working at an allergy and asthma clinic as an RN since June, and I was also promoted to a lead position. We mostly, in my position, I do a lot of infusions as an RN, but we also do a lot of allergy testing, immunotherapy, oral food challenges, and we work with kids of all ages, so from like months old to like 99 years old.
Very cool. So say a little bit about like, I guess right now you're hoping to get preferably a NICU position. Just say kind of a little bit about like what sparked your interest in like the NICU population and like why, like what interests you in, just to kind of, because it's like on a path and it just stops, like bring
Yeah.
us to like why you're here today kind of thing.
Okay. So I went in, we did most of our clinicals, and I was able to do about, I believe it was 36 hours in the NICU there. And the nurses there just seemed to really love their job there, and they've all seemed to have been there for 10 years or more. And I was really impressed at how long the staff have worked there and how happy they were. And I also really liked the aspect that you're taking care of the infant as well as their parents. And I love that there's like a lot of education going on between educating mom on breastfeeding techniques, or just educating both mom and dad on how to properly bathe the infant and other techniques as well. So I really got into that. I just fell in love with that unit and how happy everyone seemed. And I know there's stressful times too, but I just really liked the environment there.
And then say a little bit about, was that the same hospital? Sorry, what is the name of the hospital? Okay, so that shows, maybe just say something about how they spoke very highly of the new grad program and you'd love to get started at a place that's such a supportive environment for new grads to start their careers or something. Okay. Yeah, I think that has like a nice like beginning, middle, end to it. Okay, so can you please just tell us a little bit about yourself?
So a little bit about myself is that I just recently graduated with my BSN, and to go more into about myself, I always knew that I wanted to be a nurse ever since I was a little kid. I've been always fascinated by the sciences, and I always had a passion for helping out other people. And so to find a profession that was just this perfect hybrid of helping out people while also being in a topic that I was very much interested in, I felt was the perfect combination of that. And of course, I had an amazing role model with my mom, who was a nurse, and seeing in her how she was such a healing presence for her patients, and hearing these qualities of advocacy, resiliency, and compassion for her other patients, I realized that I wanted to carry those other qualities as well into my profession. And when I was in high school, I always found myself excelling and thriving in topics like bio, physio, and anatomy. And it just really sparked my interest in those topics. And so finally being in nursing school, where I got to go through all of these different clinical rotations, I felt that having that foundation really helped me out. And so there were particular clinical rotations that really struck with me, and that was my med surg rotations and my preceptorship, where I got placed neuro, cardiac, and surgical step down units. And it was in these particular units that I found myself really thriving and enjoying learning from these different populations, working with them, with all the different team members and all of the moving parts. And I think that was during that clicking point where I recognized that those are the kinds of patients that I want to work with and serve.
And so I'm really looking forward to sharing these stories about these different kinds of people that I've worked with. And so I'm really looking forward to working in that population.
Okay.
Okay.
You say med surge, they're gonna be like, oh, is she med surge nurse? Does she not want, like, I was waiting for you to say that you liked the step downs, because you're not interviewing for med surge, are you? They're mostly step downs, right?
Like they describe it as like an adaptive unit. So you're taking care of like both acute and
Okay.
step down patients. Yeah.
And I like that you seem to kind of like the fast-paced environment. That makes me think like you don't shut down and get overwhelmed.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
again, I finally felt like you had a moment where you were just kind of honestly talking and it wasn't like pageanty. So I feel like that's good to just right off the bat,
Mhm.
like let them connect with you, let them see your personality.
Okay, for sure. Yeah, like what would you say like out of like the particular questions that felt a little bit too like rehearsed or like on like that pageantry
It's
vibe?
sometimes just your wording. It's
Yeah.
things where you say, and as a result, or like, and in that way, I learned it's like sort of the phrasing is very like, it's not the way that you would talk like to your friends. It's
Mhm.
hard because you're like in a professional setting too, so you don't want to be super casual, but it's almost like the wording sometimes is too polished,
Okay.
where it's like you're almost keeping a distance from them in like
Mhm.
sort of a professional type of way. And
Yeah.
it's like doesn't really let them see the genuine you.
Okay,
It's
for
not
sure.
like what you're saying, it's sort of like the phrasing that you
The
use.
phrasing. Okay. Yeah, like okay, like my thing is like when I'm like especially since like I've had like these stories in mind, like when my mind draws to blank, it kind of defaults to like using like these formal transition words. And I guess like something I'm curious about is like what are like good like conversational filler words to use so that way like it breaks out of like that pageantry tone or like
Maybe you
delivery.
could just focus on just like with your intent, like making sure it comes across that you're just like genuinely sharing with them, and like, because
Mhm.
even if like the words are because you could say like, and as a result such and
Mhm.
such, versus like, and as a result, and like if you're like expressive and like really showing your genuine personality when you say it, I don't even know if like the formal kind of wording would matter.
Okay, so is it like mainly like just like the delivery of it and like what words follow after it then?
See if you can like watch back and catch a little, like you'll see the difference between times when it feels like you're like just genuinely being open and connecting and like spending time letting them get to know you, versus
Yeah.
where it feels a little bit more like distant.
Mm-hmm.
I
Okay.
can't put my finger on exactly what it is, but you really do want them to feel like they connected with you specifically, because then they'll
Mhm.
be like, they feel like they know you, they'll be pulling for you, versus if they feel like they never really actually like you never really let them in, then it's like,
Mhm.
oh, like
Okay.
her answers were good. I don't
Yeah,
feel like I got to know her.
I see.
No?
So like they definitely want to feel that connection
Oh
if
yeah.
like okay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, for sure. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Because
And you're
like yeah,
like
I was
reasonable and likable. Like if you just be yourself, I think it'll be,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I was like a little bit trippy because when I was like asking my friend how like the interview went, like I was like, oh dang, like my preceptor was right because like there was like instances where like she would have people like who would try to one up her answers. So I'm like weary of like people like trying to like pin down my answers or something. Like yeah, like knock me down or like, oh, I saw a patient who was unconscious and I immediately started compressions and yeah, there was like definitely people who tried to like have these over the top answers.
The thing is, like, nobody wants to work with that person.
Yeah, I felt that too. I was like, I don't think they'd want to hire him if he's like trying to put you down for that.
If
Yeah.
somebody do that, I'd be like, thank you for making this decision easy for me. I never want to see you again.
Yeah.
Like, cool, done.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. That's not like nursing is a team sport where you don't throw each other under the bus.
Yeah.
That would be an immediate no.
Okay.
Yeah.
For sure.
Don't
Okay.
worry about those people.
Okay, just focus on my answers and just developing that connection.